Hi, and welcome to After the Anchor podcast. My name is Leslie Wise, and I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to pause and listen, or just have this playing in the background while you're driving, doing dishes, whatever it is. Even if this is just a 5-minute break, I really just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Before we begin today, I did want to set some expectations on this episode because we are going to be discussing some child sexual abuse, abuse within families, emotional neglect, and it could be a little sensitive in nature in these topics. If it feels too much, don't worry, just pause, skip this episode, or come back whenever you are more grounded and ready. The purpose of this episode is to understand what happens in people's lives in early childhood development and how it shapes their core belief system as they grow through life. And this conversation is really close to me because it has a lot to do with not having been heard. And that's what happens with a lot of victims. So I want to introduce to you my guest. This is Teslie from Hair Wars.
Hello.
Out in Flower Mound, Highland Village, Texas.
Yes, I am.
Teslie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So yes, I've been married for 16 years. I'm a mom of 3 beautiful children, and we also took in my nephew, and I kind of help with my other nephew and niece too. But I am a mom of 3, and I work, and my husband works, so it's a very, very busy life. And doing hair is a gift, but also it is a great job. But I learn a lot about people.
You do. You're like the bonus therapist.
The hairpist.
And we joke about it. It's on t-shirts, it's in memes. I mean, hair stylists make reels about it, you know,
Yes.
and a lot of times you're overworked and you're, it's a thankless-ish job because you don't always have the best intentions of clients who come in. They totally are best intention with hair, but with sharing all that stuff and then, checking to make sure you're okay. It's heavy.
Yes, it's heavy. And I say this for a lot of stylists out there. Therapy, I'm in therapy currently too, and therapy is huge. And again, I go through phases where, I'm in it, not in it, but currently I'm in it. I'm working on some deeper stuff that I feel like needs to be resolved in my life. Again, I think too, like you talked about trauma growing up, now that my kids are older, some stuff started to surface back up within me. So I started to go back to therapy for that and just to be the healthiest version of me that I can. I think therapy will be the rest of my life. I will never not be fixed, I don't think, but I'm okay with that because I want to be the best version of me for my children and my husband and in my career too, since I get trauma dumped on. I have to.
Have you ever thought, with as much therapy that I do, it's like I've said, maybe I should go to school and do some therapy school because, like you said, it is for life.
It is for life.
I don't, and even when I'm quote fixed, this level of achievement that I think a lot of us who have some neurodivergencies where we feel a little different from everyone else, I think that it's a good thing. It's like continuing education for the brain. It's continuing education. I think everybody should have to do some sort of therapy.
They've done studies,
not all the time,
and I'm sure this is true, but they say that hairstylists are some of the most emotionally intelligent people.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, people share very intimate things. Probably, I mean, I've said this all along. My husband can attest, but, people tell hairstylists everything, even things I don't think they're therapists now.
Yeah, they'll tell you if they're having an affair.
Yep.
They won't even tell their friend that they're having an
Yes.
affair. Like it's crazy stuff.
And then I get told, which is a beautiful thing too, that they're pregnant for the first time and their family doesn't even know.
You do. You get that. It's like
But I prayed for that for them, and I'm glad I get to get that small, beautiful insight into their life because I can pray for them and hope that they continue to, baby grows and grows and grows, and just to be that little encouragement for them because no one else knows.
And sometimes they don't have that support. Like everybody talks about, oh, we go home and we tell our spouse or our significant
Yes.
other that we're pregnant, and it's not the reaction is
Yes.
not that you think, the expectations are pretty high whenever you're all excited to say it. And sometimes it's like, not the reaction. So at least, with your stylist, she's not going to be like, what?
No judgment zone.
There. Yes.
My motto is, in my salon is like Vegas. What happens there stays there.
Stays there. I know I have
leaving the
talked.
room.
No, I've talked I've talked to my stylists over the years about everything. Everything, know, and you feel this weird closeness with them all of a sudden. And it's maybe because we don't you're forced to sit there. You really can't even be on your phone. You really can't, because then you're moving your hair around and then it's just that time to decompress and take for yourself. So I feel like all of a sudden it's like we take truth serum or here's would you like a Coke? And yes. And now let me tell you all my troubles, On that, with the no judgment, I want to preface how this conversation is going to get framed today. We're aware that the time period that we're discussing was from a totally different time period. I was from the 80s. I was born early 80s. There was no dialogue in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, even 2025. Some families are not allowed to have dialogue, mess up, sweep it under the rug. So yes, we understand this is not a blame. Well, there are some definite blames when there's child sexual abuse involved, but this is not the campaign of attack parents, campaign of attack family members who did the best they could. This is to help inform teachers, clinicians, counselors, therapists. These are the behind the scenes conversations that you are not going to get unless you have a client sitting in your chair or you have a mother or a father here desperate trying to figure out why their child is acting out, why they cut all their hair off, why do they all of a sudden what are these life changes? These are the secrets. We hold the secrets as to what it is because everybody goes, well, why didn't you say something? That's what they say to me. Why didn't you say something? And it's I was the kid. I don't know. Y'all were supposed to be the detectives, not me.
I've had the same with me too, and it's so complicated.
So again, this is not a bashing. We're trying to help inform so that maybe there's a teacher that listens and she hears a clue and it makes sense for her. She goes, I heard something on this podcast that Tesley said, and it reminded me of something that I've noticed in one of my students, God forbid, but it's maybe that little flash of light that makes sense. And then you can be proactive in helping save someone, quite honestly, from further abuse. So let's get into it. I'm excited. Okay. We're going to start with your childhood and your childhood environment and let's go. So tell me about one of your earliest childhood memories. One of your first memories.
First memories. I would probably say I had so much fun with my siblings as a kid. They're all, they're on different paths now, but I will say some of my very first memories was just being a kid, playing outside. I remember digging, one of my core memories as a child is digging in the dirt. And we dug up holes in the dirt in our front yard to give our Barbies a bath and a swimming pool. But of course, it was all dirty water. So, but still, just being a kid and playing in the dirt.
Did you make soup in those holes
Yes,
ever?
and
Yeah.
of course we
We
made
made
patties
soups
too.
and patties, yes. And dig in the holes to put the leaves and the twigs. I love it.
And making potions too.
I wonder if, like, I mean, I think it's beyond than you and me if we're common in that. I bet
Yeah.
kids dig holes up in yards all over America. What did you understand about who was responsible for you for raising you? So tell me a bit about your parents, about your childhood.
So, again, my upbringing is very, very intense, deep, a lot of hurt and pain. My parents did the best they could. They both came from really bad upbringings, lots of abuse for them too. For my father was sexually abused by multiple people. My mother was sexually abused actually by the person that abused me. And so they had their own trauma coming into having children. I was the youngest out of my siblings. So my sister's 4 years older, my brother's a year older, and then there's me. So we grew up actually around here. We grew up in Denton, Texas, but we were very, very poor. So like, especially this time of year, it holds near and dear to my heart, like the angel tree and stuff, because I was that kid.
You were an angel tree kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I will say my parents were heavily on drugs. So let's say, from Thursday night on until Tuesday, it was just they would party or they'd be gone for days. So basically, I think my mom parented me kind of, sort of, until I was, old enough to be left. So maybe 4 or 5. And then it was really up to my sister, who was 4 years older. My parents were not adequate. Again, it's not a bashing session. That's just the truth.
That's how they were equipped.
Yes. And again, my dad was an alcoholic too. They were on meth. We were homeless as a kid.
Did you
We
see
lived in
the drug
motels.
use? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you did see it, but you weren't aware?
No, I knew.
Oh, yeah.
I knew. My dad would try to hide it, but I mean, kids are smarter than you think. When you stay up all night long and you're blaring music till 2 o'clock in the morning, partying. You know that's not normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will say that my sense of normalcy, and I will give my mom some compliment on this. My mom always made sure we had food, even though if we didn't have a ton of food, whatever the CCA, and we were part of the Salvation Army. My mom always made sure we had some food.
Yeah.
Now, there were times we had nothing in our fridge, barely, maybe milk, butter. I remember eating butter and crackers because we had nothing. And then eating applesauce, which I can't even eat applesauce still to this day because I hate it. But it was in glass jars back then, which is really funny, too, speaking of the timeline.
It was.
But yeah, I mean, I would say my sister really, I give a lot of credit to my sister because if we hadn't eaten for a whole day or a day or two, my sister would make something up. She would make a meal, and that's what we ate.
Yeah.
So I would say she really was, for that portion of my life up until I was 9 years old, she was I guess the parent, even though she was a child.
She was parentified. Yeah, that's a hard one because that's a lot of responsibility on her.
Right.
Did she have to be the disciplinarian too, or were you kind of just like the baby?
No, I was kind of like the baby.
The baby.
And I just kind of went with the flow.
Yeah.
And my brother was the difficult one. He got in trouble all the time.
Did you stay with your parents the whole time? How long were you with your parents?
Yes, so I lived with my parents until I was 9 years old. So that would have been the third grade. I moved in the middle of third grade. It's blurry. I can't remember the exact time. I know it was before Christmas. So I was 9 years old in the third grade.
And you left.
And I left. So because my parents were wild and did drugs and partied and my dad cheated all the time, and our bills would go unpaid, all that, just the wild, crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, my dad had left for a couple months, and wasn't coming back. And so my mom was upside down on our rent in our little house that we had in Denton. And my mom didn't know what to do. And so she's like, hey, I can't take care of you. I can't take care of your sister and your brother, all three of you, by myself. So I went to live with her mother, her biological mother, so my grandma and step-grandfather. So I was 9 at the time. So I went to live with them. They lived in the older part of Highland Village.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister, who's 4 years older than me, she went to live with my dad's mother. They lived out in Tyler, Texas. And then my brother stayed with my mom. My brother had a lot of behavioral issues. He has a lot of mental issues. But I know this topic's not about him, but God bless his soul, because he didn't really have a fighting chance, unfortunately. He's not a bad person, but he's been in and out of jail really basically since juvenile.
He struggled. He saw a lot.
Mm-hmm. He saw a lot. He was, I would say, physically and verbally, emotionally more abused in certain times of our lives more. It was just different for him, and he already had some psychological issues.
Yeah.
So anyway, that when all that happened, the split happened, and so my sister went with my dad's mom, I went with my mom's mom, my brother stayed, and so fast forward, I'm 9 years old, went from horrible poverty, sometimes not having food, right, and all this abuse and chaos, and then I moved with my grandparents in the older part of Highland Village to somewhat of a stable life, but dark, dark secrets. So.
Yeah, it was like.
You would think that it's better.
Which one do you want? No,
You're like, I'm taking this girl from this, the hood, from this bad upbringing. And then, I'm throwing you into this. You made this point earlier and made me think. How do you warn teachers? And yes, you have some kids that outcry, but I was the kid that was silent, that was good, that behaved, that was a people pleaser. That was me. So I think that's the difference between how do you know what kids are going through what? And I don't think we ever really know the secret sauce for that, because I think it's just how everybody copes.
I think we're going to figure it out with After the Anchor. Not in just this episode, but there's got to be commonalities, chopped off hair. There have to be things like that's kind of with me. I don't have much memory of my childhood. And then I've never really had photographs. It's just not, there are photographs. They're just not readily available. And I hadn't seen photographs of myself in 15, 18 years. And even photographs that I'd never seen of myself. And I thought, I'm going to sit in the car. And I looked through all, 500 photos of my childhood and my family's life. And there are some pretty big, because I'm like, how did nobody see like malnourished? I was like skinny to the point where it was made fun of, Mm-hmm. What can you do? You can help, not withhold food from kids when they're in your company, when you're the sister, you're the aunt, you're the cousin, mm-hmm. Chopping off the hair. When kids have my hair. Well, when kids have their hairs chopped off by their parents and kept very specific. Now, that's not just the only thing. There's very other indicators that I think there hygiene, when you start to compile 1, 2, 3, 4 different points, there should be standards in schools that teachers should be looking at. Parents don't want to know that or hear that. But if a child is showing signs and it's like 10 markers we now know that these are things of severe neglect. If there's severe neglect, that means the child is definitely not being heard.
Right.
Hand in hand, neglect, not heard.
And you said too, I still have some of my childhood pictures that I got years ago from my grandmother, just school photographs, just the life touch,
mm-hmm.
which I still get.
Mine are good.
Yeah, but I look back at them though, and I did chop my hair off in the 6th grade, into a nice dyke haircut. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that,
You can
but
say
that's
whatever
what
you
it
want.
was. That's what it was back then. Okay. But if I looked at those pictures, my eyes, I could see it in my eyes. I think eyes are the way to our soul. And I could see the sadness in my eyes in some of those photographs.
Yeah, I could see you can definitely see
Yeah.
my school pictures. I mean, we did good for church pictures too, but it's all the stuff in between. And, when a kid is missing 30 days of school and every day they have stomach aches in fifth grade, and, they're really attached to one parent. Again, this does not mean that like all of a sudden we're the Gestapo and we're looking at every indicator, but if there's 5 or 6 or 7 indicators, that's an indicator.
Right.
That's an indicator. It should be investigated. And then if not, parents are now aware. We are on your radar. We see indicators and there's no more sweeping it. Like there has to be, if the parents aren't all watching their kids, somebody has to be helping these kids because parents are having children that can't raise them.
Right.
I mean, I was a reactive mother. I can still be a reactive mother. But until my healing journey, I was a reactive mother. I was very controlling, very everything just the way it is because it made things very easy for me if everything is. But, it wasn't until I was talking to my own pediatrician and I said, Vincent, my son, you give him an inch and he'll take a mile. And I was like, it's, sometimes he's more submissive and sometimes, and as the word came out of my mouth, I go, my son submissive. And I was talking to the pediatrician and I was like, I need to give him some free rein and kind of like pull back. Once I started thinking that, him working outside of my box was bad, I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like something my dad or my mom or a caretaker in my time would have,
Right.
wanted to control. So there's definitely signs. That would have been a follow-up that I think my pediatrician could have asked at the next 6-month appointment. How's that controlling behavior going, Mom? Are we working on it? That doesn't mean that it's abuse, but there are patterns.
Right.
It's pattern recognition. I got off topic there. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Were
Yes.
there parts of your childhood that felt ordinary to you and normal, like when you had moved into your grandparents' house?
I will say, my moving in with my grandparents, I had lots of friends. Always had tons of friends. That was normal, like sleepovers and hanging out with my friends and spending time with my friends and going to the movie theater back in the day when they had payphones. I remember I'd call collect my grandparents' house to come pick me up.
Yeah.
In middle school.
Yeah, I'm out of the movies. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come get me. So that was normal. That was very normal. And I through the years, when I've talked to my husband about this and my counselors, I've had several through the past, but that's one of the things that I'm still learning to separate the good memories and the bad memories. Because I think for a long time, I was angry, upset, hurt, pain, which I have every right to feel all those things. But I did have some really good memories, some good core memories.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've always been a fun person, very lively, like, let's do it. I probably, would get more people in trouble if I was allowed. And rules are meant to be broken, I think. But yeah, there were some good memories, sleepovers and going to the movies. I still love the movies, even to this day. But yeah, I think there was good. There was just those really, really bad moments on top of the good. So trying to dissect that. And then also trying, now that I'm an adult with my own children, but now that I'm an adult, trying to figure out, okay, what was healthy, what wasn't healthy with my grandparents, right? Like my grandma loved to cook, and I love to cook. My husband likes to cook with me. My kids love to cook with me. And so I will say that is another big normal memory is food. I love to cook. I love to cook things from scratch because I'm a crazy person. But for me, there is so much freedom in cooking. And sometimes you can follow a recipe to a T, like my husband, and it not turn out, and I have to come in there and doctor it up. So for me, I love the creative aspect, the freedom in that, in cooking. And it doesn't matter what it is. I love cooking. Like before I came here today, my husband's like, we have a roast in the fridge. You probably need to cook that. I was like, all right. So I'm in there. And I didn't want to put my shirt on because I didn't want it to smell like
you
roast
didn't
beef.
want to be like roast, and we would have been all hungry, been like, where is it? Be ready in 6 hours.
Yeah, I'll bring you some. But so I love to cook. That is normal.
That
for
was
me.
something that you adopted from your childhood, was
Yes.
the love to be in the kitchen and making those memories and just
And eating at the dinner table is huge too. Like, we always ate dinner at the table. And then with my kids, I know it's going to get more challenging as they get older because they'll be involved in things, but we still make it a point to get together.
Were there ever any let's go back real fast. So you moved in at 9.
Mm-hmm.
About how long were you there until your environment became uncomfortable?
Well, I think I briefly told you this, but I had like a full trial and everything when I was 19 and for the situation for my grandfather, my grandmother. But looking back, so I had to go back and remember, okay, when was this unsafe? When did the abuse start? And it actually started prior to me living there. I didn't realize that until I was older and questioned, like, okay, when's the first time you think you were touched inappropriately? And it was like 8 years old. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half, almost 14.
When you were 8, where were you?
I was with my grandparents. So sometimes on the weekends, before they took me in, my grandma would have me come stay for the weekend.
Yeah.
And so that's when my very first memory of the sexual abuse would be going over there, and he would want to shower me as an 8-year-old, which is a huge red flag. My grandma wasn't showering me, bathing me, washing me with washcloths in my private areas. He was. And so when I had to basically go through all these memories for the trial purposes, that's when I realized, okay, it was actually even before I lived there. Before. But it was, to me, seemed kind of normal, right? Because I didn't know normal before moving into there because it was wild. And so, yeah.
Someone's taking care of you.
So I will say.
Someone's helping you. Yeah.
But, going through all the counseling and going through the trial and going and being, an advocate for sexual abuse and just where I am today, looking back, it's like, yeah, the abuse started at 8. For me, I know that. And I will say, even though I didn't tell anyone, people, why didn't you say it? Why didn't you? Because I never felt safe. But
weird, yeah.
Yeah. Like an 8-year-old.
What 8-year-old is going to say? They don't even want to say,
touched.
They laugh at saying butt and fart. Like, let me just talk about my vagina.
Yeah.
No, okay.
No. So, I would say I knew it was unsafe. I will say through all those years and all the bad stuff that happened to me, I always knew it was wrong. And I'm grateful that I don't have that weird, thing that some people that can be sexually abused, they like fall in love with their abuser. Thank God that never happened to me. But I do know that it happens. I've had clients sit in my chair and tell me, and I'm like, hey, maybe you should see my therapist or go see a therapist.
Yeah, I didn't realize the sexual abuse. I thought it was very normal but as I grew up, I realized that I had been potty trained for a very long time, and I was still being cleaned by my father.
Yeah.
Not my mother ever, not my sister ever, because you sometimes rely on siblings when you're potty training, but I had been potty trained for a very long time, and this was years later. I'm in school, and I just thought that was I don't know, just helpful behavior. And I did trauma bond to my father. It's crazy because when I think back now too, I would tell my friends at 15, 16, and be like, yeah, it's so weird. It's like I'm my dad's bride. Like I have to cook for him. I had to do all this stuff. Like I was his little dutiful wife, control his emotions, make him happy. So yeah, it does, golly, like, because not until I realized what was happening in my life as a child did I realize where that weird connection had come from. Like I would say, I feel like I was my father's child bride. Right. And I said that in my 20s, and nobody ever really reacted because I grew up around, I don't know, people who didn't know that. I don't know. People just never made a comment like until I was 40 and I would have a conversation with someone and they would look at me and they would go, and these people, I guess, are normal people because when I'm telling them that felt like I was married to my dad, they're like, wait a second, explain that to me again. How did you feel like that? Because I told my mom that and she never once batted an eye. And so I'm like, oh, I'm telling you this at 33. I felt like I was married to my father and you don't think that that's weird. So why do I think that that's weird? Right. Until I go to therapy and my therapist says, that's very weird, Leslie. That's not okay. So yeah, I think that's, there's a big trauma bond that can happen. Do you feel that you were groomed leading up to it?
Oh, I was like basically the staple of sexual abuse. Groomed, manipulated, mind fucked, controlled. If you tell, I'll kill you. I'll kill your mom, your dad.
I'll kill myself.
No one will believe you. So I was already being fed that at 9, 10, 11, 12. And on top of all of that, I knew my parents were not in a good way. And so that was also part of it is, if you tell, you're going to be trash. You'll never graduate high school. You'll become nothing. And I'll ship you back off to there. And like, for me, that was like a big trigger. Because I'm like, I don't want to be a drug addict. I don't want to be like my parents. So there was all the threats. So groomed, very, very young. Like the abuse started with the showering, right? And I think I was like maybe 9 or 10, still showering me. So that's 3rd and 4th grade, which no one should be showering a girl. I don't even shower my daughters, right? And they're 9 and 11. I haven't showered them or cleaned their private areas in a very long time. I taught them how to clean themselves. Sometimes I'll have to look.
Yeah, I'll have to help do hair every once in a while. I'll be like, you have not scrubbed that scalp very good. Let me get in there. But it's daughter to daughter.
Yeah, like
not mother to daughter. Like I'm not going in there with my son. Like I mean, if he needs something, come on. Like okay, I don't want to be doctor, but like you know what I mean. Like you'll be there for your kid, but there's a difference between being there for your child in a moment of need and being there for your child constantly doing that.
So I will say the grooming started very early for me. And it was a very slow process. So that's, I think, understanding sexual abuse and all different, sexual abuse is such a broad statement. The way that you were sexually abused is different than the way that I was sexually abused. Mm-hmm. There's the trauma side that you're just, you're viciously raped, right? There's all these different types. Yeah. For me was the manipulative. I've told people this, and I've told my husband this, because me and my husband are close. He's been with me through all of this, but it's like a cult. I understand now how people could get caught in a cult. Not that I would ever be in a cult, but I was so manipulated and brainwashed. I understand it now as an adult. Right? And especially if you're manipulated into that, for me, especially at a very, very young age. Vulnerable. Very vulnerable. I get it. But yeah, like it started off with just, hey, I want to teach you, I want to teach you so you know how to kiss when a boy wants to kiss you for the first time. As an 8-year-old. And I'm like, what? And I was like, I don't know about that. So, and anytime there was like pushback from me, he would step back, but then come back and revisit it. He would inch and inch. So it was, I would say over the first year was very slow. It was, let me kiss you. have you ever French kissed? And I remember him like kissing my mouth and shoving his tongue in my mouth. And I'm like, I know this is not normal, but then you have to understand too, for anybody that has been sexually abused, then the threats start to come. So it's this mind manipulation thing where, it's not like, oh, he just kissed me one time, right? It was, and like my abuse, especially in the heat of all of it, it was like every day. Unless I spent the night in my friend's house. And it got to the point where I was older because I never wanted to be home on the weekends because I didn't want to be abused all weekend. He would threaten me, okay, well, if you don't, give me a blowjob, or if you don't do this, then you're not going and you're not getting your allowance and you can't go skating and you can't go to the movies. And so I would just screw it. Okay, well, I don't want to be here. At least I get to get abused one time out of 3 or 4. Yeah. I'll just do it so I can leave, which sounds terrible, but that was my only option. And I was so convinced that he would kill me, kill my family, or make it look like I was crazy.
Yeah, they're good at that.
So I would say it started off slow. It was the kissing, the making out, and then like, hey, are you getting pubic hair? And I'm like, no. And now, so this is what's like been triggering for me in this season, is my girls are all the ages, and my son. So every age that they're at, I was abused at all their ages.
Yeah.
And so, like, my daughter's 11. She's precious. Love her. Her name's Adelie Joe, and I love her so much. But, her body's starting to change some. Not a lot. I mean, I didn't hit puberty till I was, like, maybe 13. Like, actually, puberty. And so I look back, and I'm like, I was being asked at 10 years old if I had vagina hair. And he wanted to see it. Well, let me just touch it. And then the touching. And then, well, what if I just kiss it? So it was a slow process. But then once it got to the touching, the kissing, all that, then it was like, everything was off limits. It was then, oral abuse, him on me on him. At that once we hit that point, there was no coming back.
No, you have to do whatever it is that they want you to do.
And I wish I was in a safe environment. I wish I could have told someone, but like with your upbringing and my upbringing, I didn't have a normal family. And I never felt safe to tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone until I was 18 years old. It took me that long to tell somebody. So and for me to realize how wrong it was, because I had all this shame and guilt, So yeah, I like I said, I don't think for anybody there's a secret sauce on this topic or how we dealt with it. And even, all the everyday abuse for 5 years consistently in my life, I think once I, came to my senses, found out that my grandparents were watching kids. I was already out on my own. I was living in an apartment, and I found out my grandparents were watching kids. And I took everything in me. I was like, I will never let this happen to a single kid ever again. And that wasn't until I spoke up and said something, pressed charges, went through the DA, went through Denton County. They were amazing. The Children's Advocacy Center is amazing, by the way. It wasn't until I started to go through all of that's really when my healing started. That's when really I started to really understand what I went through was really bad.
Yeah, really bad. Yeah. It's so funny how we really dumb it down. We're like, well, but there's somebody that's had it so much worse.
Right.
That's how my life was. There's, you have it bad, but there's children, I mean, back in the day, it would be like in Saudi Arabia, in the desert, there's desert storm happening, there's war, and what your experience is nothing. TV. And I'm like, so of course we minimize. And it's funny because like my therapist is always like, Leslie, there's a lot. She's like, we get rid of these big ones, and then there's another big one. And then there's like that, when you talk about that, I have a very vivid memory of being in a vehicle, not with my mother, but And I'm not sure if my father was in the car. I can't really remember because I do know that I like left my mind because I just had to autopilot. And it was that I was at that age and there were 3 women that I know of in the car, adult women, 40, 50, 60. And it was the 2 women. One said, let's see what's under your shirt. Do you have any, mammary glands? And they were like, lift your shirt up. We were in the car. I was like with a bunch of my fellow aged family members, and I was asked to do that. And it's like, do you have any poil? Do you have any hairs? And it was just like, I remember feeling so bizarro. Like we were coming home from like someone's soccer game or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like the conversation that was in the Suburban that day on the way back to their house. And I remember thinking, well, I mean, I have to do this. There's 3 adult women in this car. And it was funny. None of them are the ones that did it to me, but they belonged to my father. And I'm like, you people should have stopped. Like one of those adults in the car should have been like, what are y'all doing back there? What is happening? We're not doing this game. I don't come pick up your kid. Someone should have called my mom that day and been like, come pick up your daughter. Like freaky shit's happening to her here. Like she doesn't need to come back here anymore. So sometimes you're just at the mercy of the adults that are delusional that this behavior is appropriate. Asking people to show you their private parts is 100% actually not appropriate ever in the face of ever, unless you're a doctor and your mom is in the room with you or someone is in the room, like multiple people. Yeah. So there's like you say, there are signs, but sometimes the signs are going to go right out the window because nobody shut the window.
Right.
Nobody's shutting it for people to catch them. So let's get on to our next one. Do you think your body reacted? Now that you've grown, do you think that your body had tried to tell you signs as you were growing up? And again, we're gonna go here because this is that subject and it's not fun and I don't want to go here.
Right.
But for me, my body remembered feelings.
Oh, yeah.
And I would think about situations that had happened in my life, and then I'd go, ew, arousal situations in my life that were ew. And then I'd be like, out of my head. That should have been an indicator. Like the fact that and because there's no memory tied to it, it was so disorienting. So did you have body,
Yes.
like
Oh, yeah.
you feel guilty because,
Yes.
we'll just say it, you have a very fleeting, for me, it was like a blink of an arousal, like a flutter. And then I'd go, oh God, ugh.
Yeah.
Did you have that?
Oh, absolutely. So part of my abuse obviously was my grandfather would orally abuse me, right? Of course, I'm not a pervert, so I never got off on licking some old man's wiener. So yeah, I'm putting that out there. But I, as a kid, sometimes would orgasm. And I didn't know what that was, obviously, until I was an adult, until I was in therapy at 19. And so, yes, I had to really work on that because it made me sick. And then being with my husband, we've been together all these years, right? So in the very beginning, when I was in therapy, when I decided to press charges, all this was a lot at once. And then me having therapy that I've never had therapy before.
Yeah.
And realizing all this stuff that I had gone through was terribly wrong.
And they're telling you, they're
like,
letting you feel bad about it. They're like, hey, you can cry and feel really shitty about it.
I remember telling her, like, anytime I'm with my husband and I orgasm, I just break down or I'll have flashbacks or I will cry, right? And my body, I did not want that to happen. And I just remember at the time I had this amazing therapist. I was doing really hard work. By the way, the book, The Courage to Heal, is amazing. I don't know how much you've talked about sexual abuse on this podcast, but if anybody listening, whoever you are, even for your spouse, they also have 2 books, The Courage to Heal, and then they also have Allies of Healing if you're with somebody that has been abused. It's just to help you understand being with someone that's been abused. But The Courage to Heal is in that book too. And so doing that workbook, being with my therapist at the time really helped me. And during all that work, she told me, Tesley, if you hit your elbow on a wall, you stub your toe, you'll cuss probably, and it will hurt like a mofo. She's like, you cannot feel bad for your body reacting like it should.
Yeah.
But it took me years to basically undo all those bad memories. I would have to go to my safe place a lot. Like, this is my body, this is okay. That's what I would tell myself while having sex with my newly husband. This is my body, this is okay. This is my body, this is okay. It's okay to have an orgasm. That's, unfortunately, was robbed from me at a very young age, but this is my body, this is okay. That's what I would literally tell myself over and over and over and over.
It's rewiring those neurotransmitters.
But yes, my body reacted, unfortunately. And again, I'm sure you can attest. Having flashbacks, smells, senses, I have all those things too. I've done a lot of work, but it still doesn't mean that I'm not triggered still. I mean, I still have triggers, and I'm 37, So it's, again, sexual abuse is such a very condensed thing, and I don't think that I will ever not have a trigger, right? Like that sucks to say that, but I know how to work through them.
That's the best part. It makes him livable, manageable, more manageable, but it's still crazy. It's like, and even Curtis the other day, my husband, I was talking to him and I was like, I don't want to use this word, but like something like I was triggered. Like I have moments where I feel like I'm back, and I realized now, because I've done so much therapy, yes, and he had walked in, and sometimes he walks into my closet and I want to drop to the floor and hide my body. And sometimes I'm just like, whatever, come on in. And I realize it's because we never had locks on any of our doors, because we had old-timey locks on our house. We didn't have like a new house. And so we had these crystal doorknobs, and they did not lock. So my dad would walk in and I'd be like, I'm not dressed. I'm not dressed. I'm not dressed. And like next thing they don't care. It's just me, whatever. And like, then you do feel kind of crazy. You're like, it is just my dad. But it was uncomfortable. I was not comfortable. I did not feel, I did not have boundaries being like that. So I get these flashbacks, and I was able to tell him, I was like, yes, it has nothing to do with you. Please keep walking into the closet unannounced at any moment. But do understand that sometimes I'm going to jump to the floor or like I'm going to retire. And that has nothing to do with you. My brain wants to go where it's comfortable. It's like, hey, I hadn't thought of this in a minute. Let's bring you back up to play, or something's going on in my mind.
I have that too. So one of my like trigger, or I would say sound, taste, smell, whatever, mine is a belt buckle. Anytime I hear that, girl.
Yeah.
And my husband knows now. It took me a long time to tell him. But and no matter, he could be 5 rooms away, and I know that sound, because when I was a kid, it was okay. He had to take his pants off, and it was the chattering of the belt.
I know what sound you mean.
Every single time. So yes, that is one of mine.
Yeah, it's weird because it creeps up, and you're like, I'm not there. And so, but sometimes it'll manifest and it'll go, oh, that felt good to feel bad about that moment. What else do we want to think about? And then the spiral starts to happen, and then you start thinking, and I'm very thankful for therapy, because I'm able to now go, whoa, like, what are you doing? Bring it back. It's 2025. That man's dead. He's not coming back, and you're safe now. But the brain wants to keep reminding me.
Well, I think that we just have everything stored somewhere back in a shelf somewhere.
It is stored. I mean, every single thing we see gets stored into our brain.
Right.
I always think of it as like a mushy muscle, and mine's been really flat because it's not wanted to remember anything. And now I'm like, come on, memory, bring it all back to me so I can work through it and put it to bed. I want to go in towards kind of school here and see what kind of student were you when at this point, from 9 and on.
So when my grandparents took me in third grade, I couldn't even read.
Oh,
I come from a poverty school, Borman. I don't know if anybody listening to this will know where that's
it was
at,
one
but
of
it's
the
in Denton.
like, small schools. Yeah.
Small.
I went to the
very
same time.
low income school. But yes, I'm severely dyslexic too. But so yeah, when I went to live with my grandparents, I could not read at all or spell. So when I went to live with them, I did have an amazing third grade teacher. I do her hair today, which is insane.
Love it.
But yeah, so
that is insane.
I know. She was willing. She caught all the signs. She was very gracious and kind to me. And she didn't even know the situation. She knew it was bad where I was, because I've asked her about this. She knew it was bad where I was coming from, but she did not know the depths of it. But she was always so kind. So yeah, they realized I was dyslexic, and they basically said, we're going to hold her back. And I'd already been held back in kindergarten for not being able to read.
Yeah.
Or write my name. I have dysgraphia. All my letters were backwards. I was typical staple. I'm like the severe version of dyslexia that you can get.
Girl.
So yes, of all the things.
You've overcome a lot of things. Well, dyslexia is really hard.
It's so
That's
hard.
a really hard one because, I mean, you've already got that neurodivergent kind of brain, and now you're throwing in something that wants to confuse you even more, so you have to work double time.
So I will say, because we've kind of talked on both topics, so going back, like, what are good memories? Even though my grandfather was the pedophile he is, and is still in prison to this day right now, but I will say trying to separate this bad person, this Jekyll and Hyde, he would sit there, and I would be up for hours. He would sit there and have me reread, rewrite, do the math, and I flip numbers and letters and everything in math too. So it's not just reading, it's math. So he would sit there, and I would go through and do it. He would dot it with a red dot, and then I'd go back and redo it. And so as a kid, and I am like ADHD too, so I don't know how I sat, but I will say he sat there and did that with me. And my grandma is really highly intelligent, and I remember her telling me, you just don't listen, you're not trying hard enough, are you stupid? And I'm like, actually, I'm not stupid.
I just disassociated.
But no, I will say, I remember all of my teachers. I had amazing teachers. I loved school. I'm a people person. I love learning still, even though it's hard for me, even still now.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing with dyslexia. I learned how to cope, and then I just had to get better at my reading, writing, and spelling. And by the end of the year, I did get caught up in the third grade. Now I was on the border of like being a C, I was like a C student, but yeah, I enjoyed school, even throughout middle and high school. Every once in a while I'd get a bad teacher, but for the most part, I had really good teachers.
Yeah.
And I was a good student. And I tried really, really hard, really hard, because it was already so hard for me. Like, I had to study. And I would study for hours, and I would just barely make a C, but that was good. I passed.
Yeah, it's funny on that note where, you do have a good memory of working side by side with him. And it's like, I have more good memories with my father than I have bad memories because I disassociated, because I just left my brain, I guess. And then when you disassociate for days, weeks, sometimes months. So I don't know how long I would leave my thoughts. But I learned everything. I can back up a truck. I can drive a dually. I can back up a truck and like I can parallel park in downtown Dallas in a big ass car. Like I can hook up a trailer. I can mow. I mean, I can do all these things. I got a lot of really good stuff from that man. And that's why it was, I remember going into therapy the first time and I was like, we're not going to talk about my dad. We're not going to talk about my mom. And we're not going to talk about my sister. I'm going to talk about my ex-husband. That's it. It's all his fault. And because my father had taught me all these life skills, like all the things that I think make me cool, I think make me cool, but where I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. Like I can fish and I can do that. Like all the guy things, I can do these things. I can hang with the guys. And so I always thought like I was this like, that was this perfect, but there was this very, very bad, dark side of him too. That was very menacing and very scary. And he let you know that he was a very scary, very, very bad man. Mm-hmm. And so it was a mind fuck.
I'm the same way. Like
crazy because you're in love. You loved them.
Right.
We had to have loved them to have put up with all of that. Like you can't. It's not, they're not going to hate this person. They're going to maybe hate them internally, but they're not really, because we're not equipped to hate people as children. We're not supposed to hate people as children. We just don't do it. We're naive and we're full of wonder and nothing really bad is supposed to be happening to us. So,
but I was just like you. I learned outside of the teaching. I mean, I know how to do a really good free throw, and I can do them over and over and over. And my grandfather was intentional. If I wanted to play softball, he'd play softball. He taught me how to oil my glove. He taught me how to use a screwdriver, a hammer. Can trim bushes. I'm for a female, both of us being females. Like I'm a handy person. I'm very smart in that sense. But he taught me those things. And so again, through therapy and for me and you, it's hard. Because I've had to learn to separate the two. Okay, there were some good parts outside of these really horrible parts. But it takes a long time to get to our stages of where we're at because it takes a lot of work. It's not easy.
No, it's a lot of sitting with really, really hard thoughts because you can't... as much as you want to share with people and as much as you want to communicate what's happening, sometimes for myself, I find that I don't want to be a broken record anymore. And I don't want to keep repeating the same things, even though they're still very, very much affecting me. But it's like, well, I just talked to you about something else that was horrible just yesterday. And now I want to talk about this also very horrible thing. So in healing, you do have to sit a lot with these things and work them out yourself. Right. But the best part with therapy is they teach you how to do it like in a productive way that like actually, instead of just going around in a circle trying to solve your own problems, like it's like, here, you can take road A. You can also take road B and road C if you want to. You have all these other options rather than just going around in a circle, Leslie. And I'm like, oh, I can do all these different like tools and tricks to pull myself out of those heavier thoughts. I don't know, girl. So what was like one of your favorite subjects? Did you have one?
Oh, music.
Music. Okay. Singing, or did you do
both, all of it? Singing, reading music.
Did you do
choir.
Any instruments?
No instruments.
No instruments. Yeah.
Singing, choir. Yes, I loved it. And I did some theater. I love that too.
Did you ever feel it's kind of like once the abuse is happening for me, and I want to hear your thought. Like, unless it was caught in the moment,
right.
Unless it was caught right after, I think that for myself, it was abuse happen, work through it in my mind, and then I'm never bringing it up again. It wasn't like I was going to go and have a conversation. And so my question is if you had a teacher or a counselor or a nurse come up and say, let's talk about some things that we've noticed. Did you have anybody that you feel at that time you would have had a conversation with or dialogue?
Oh, I think I was mortified.
If someone had asked, you think you would have just kept
I would have kept it to myself.
Would you have wanted for them to dig? Would you have been secretly wanting for them to keep pushing, be the detective, be the annoying
Yes, I
person?
think so.
Keep digging, like push past my 14-year-old stubborn self and go with your gut.
Yeah, I think I would have. But again, I with sexual abuse. It's
You were
the
scared to go
shame.
back home too. You were scared to go back to the other life.
Shame, the guilt, and it was so messy. Like mine was very frequent, super messy, and I was scared. That's the thing, is I was scared too. Now I wish someone would have asked me, but I don't think I would have said anything, to be honest, unless I trusted them, which I didn't really have anybody in my life that I trusted either. So, I trusted
Would
my
you have
husband.
told your siblings? Did your siblings know?
No, my siblings didn't know. No.
And you would never have when you were with them. Did you stay close with them while you guys were separated? Were you able to? Obviously, you would have wanted to as a child, but
kind of, sort of. My
was it
brother,
encouraged?
no. My sister, yes. And then my sister started having kids really young. She kind of stayed in that same cycle.
We all were 4 apart. So
4 years apart. So she kind of got thrown in that lifestyle, like the drugs, having kids really young. And so, yeah, I didn't really have the opportunity to be close with her. She was wrapped up in, she had all of her hurt and pain and trauma and just stayed in it.
And she went
for a
in another
long time.
direction. Yeah.
Right.
So, what do you remember? Talk about doctor's visits. Did you go to the doctor much when you were young?
You brought this up earlier, but I remember at a young age, I remember getting like a yeast infection. I didn't know what that was. I know that what it is now, but I remember having discharge regularly at a young age, which I don't think my body should have been producing at that age.
Same.
But because of the abuse, it made my body respond. So yeah, I hated it too. I remember wadding up underwear and putting it in my panties because
The same.
yeah, and
I used to throw it away.
yeah.
And I thought that
And I
there
remember
was,
thinking
I
it
just
was
thought it
so
was so
gross.
weird. I was like, I'm the only weirdo that has this. And I was like, I remember it was third, fourth, fifth grade. I remember, throwing my underwear away because I was like, my mom's going to see this and she's going to be like, you're gross. I don't think she would have, but my mind was like, I don't think my friends are having this happen. And if they were, they weren't talking about it. But the fact that you said that, see, these are things
It's
like,
crazy.
these are things like, so it wouldn't mean that if your daughter is having discharge at a young age, that means that's what's happening. But my God, you owe it to your kid to dig.
Right, and my grandma should have
Everywhere.
asked me. She should have asked
Everywhere.
me.
What's happening?
Are you washing yourself correctly? Are you cleaning yourself right?
Well, you should have been
my
because
grandma
you were
had to
getting
buy
washed.
the Monistat or whatever brand they had back in the day, and I didn't necessarily know how to put it in there or on me, And then I remember getting I don't really remember the doctor very much, but I had to go because I got a lump under my underarm. And it was like one of my sweat glands, I think, the duct had gotten clogged. And so the doctor had to feel around on my breast. But other than that, that's the only time I remember going to the doctor.
Who took you?
My
Was
grandma.
it grandma? It was grandma that took you, not grandpa.
And I look back and I think, not that the doctor would necessarily know, but I would have thought they would have picked up on my body language and my behavior because I was very uncomfortable.
They should have. Well, there were definitely questions that should have.
And it
again,
resolved
that
on its
goes.
own.
Yeah, well, and that goes back to that generational thing. So no, we're not beating the brains of the doctors from days beyond, but doctors of today and beyond.
Right.
You guys, dig. You've got on those yearly visits. You have us there for an hour.
Right.
Ask all of our kids. Those of us that have nothing to hide, we don't care. Ask our kids every single last question. Make it a questionnaire.
And I think the parents should have to step out of the room. The doctor be there with an assistant, right?
I've done that.
Room. And I think that just like with any abuse situation, if it's physical too, the parent or the guardian or whoever you're with shouldn't be in the room because you might not speak up. I think that's like valid, is that getting them separated, because that really, like, in all cases, I would say, for really bad child neglect and physical abuse, the parents are with the kids. As soon as you have to be separated.
Yeah.
So I think in doctors' offices, yes, I'm in there. My son's 13, and then we went through this with my nephew. He's 20 now, but they would have to. They'd go through these questions, but they're very vague. Like, has anyone ever touched you inappropriately? They just read off this list.
Yeah, someone's
I'm
touching.
the one
Yeah,
checking
like that's
them.
what 13-year-old is gonna say. Yes, someone is. No, they're not. They're like so embarrassed with life.
But I think there should be
A
at all the checkups. I think the parents have to step out for a second with two people in the room, right? Or have a window they can look through or whatever. If the parent is resisting and not wanting that, obviously there's a red flag.
There's a red flag.
Red flag.
Quit making excuses for red flags. Parents, you like.
Like if
I
they
don't
are
know.
like, "Hey, we need you to step out. We need to ask
You're
your
out
son
for
some
one,
questions."
literally 30 seconds.
I'd be
It's
like,
few
okay.
questions. Yeah, you should. Exactly.
Because I
Exactly.
know nothing's happening to my kids.
Exactly. So, let's skip forward. Lean back. So, yeah, looking back, we were just talking about, being at the doctor. Do you think that there were any moments where an intervention could have been detected, other than you said, you were shown to be sort of withdrawn?
Yeah, and you know what? Now that you brought that up, I was thinking about this. I don't know if I didn't really go to checkups. I was on government, like, doctors.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe 1 or 2 years of when I lived with my grandparents, I was on healthcare. So, like, all my vaccines were from the
clinic place?
clinic,
Yeah, where you just.
the government. What is it called? It's in Louisville. Anyway, so yeah, I now know that they do the checkups. Like, you're supposed to get your kids checked up. So for me, I don't think that would apply to me, because I never really got sick, and I never went to the doctor.
Do you think that do you have any things that you think that doctors should be looking out for?
Like I said, I think when they just having that safe space where they can ask the child, obviously with two people in the room, because we know that, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be valid. I think if they added that into their checkups, like, okay, the parent has to step out of the room for a minute so we can ask you a few questions. And not to say, what if they have gender confusion or they feel
Anything.
if they whatever, or even if they have questions about their own bodies, right? They would have that opportunity. Or what if your son's not getting an erection, and he should be, because he's at
And he
the
doesn't
age.
want to talk to someone.
He doesn't
and
want
he's
to. Yes, he's embarrassed.
giving the kid the autonomy to be able to speak openly about anything without judgment.
Right.
Definitely, once you said about in the discharge in the underwear, I think that that's like something that is a big red flag.
And that should be probably should be on the questionnaire.
That should definitely be in the questionnaires about
or just asking the child with a parent present, hey, do you have
anything in your underwear, panties?
Yes.
Yeah, that's different, and not leaving that one up to just mom, because sometimes moms are in on it. They do know it's happening. Or it's a sibling.
Yeah.
And they don't want to turn the sibling in, they want to try to fix it on themselves. Because it's not always an adult doing the molesting.
Some that can be siblings.
I was definitely molested by a family member opposed to my my father.
By 2 other people too.
Yeah, so it didn't just have to be the one. It can always be someone that is the same age or younger. And okay. Did you have so the behavioral and physical signs overlooked? So we talked about discharge in the underwear, behavioral, more withdrawn. Did you feel that, now looking back at your younger self, do you think that you were adequately, normally withdrawn, or do you think you were pretty withdrawn? Being around teenagers in this day, going like, oh, that kid's.
I would say a little bit.
More?
I always felt different.
Yeah, you felt more reserved though.
Yeah, a little bit reserved. I
Yeah.
knew too much sexually for sure. Like I knew all of that, you know?
There might be questions that can be asked about sexuality that children that are not being abused should be able to not know.
Right.
But, it's kind of like when you do play therapy with a child, you pose the right questions without blatantly asking them. There
Right.
should definitely be questions.
There should be.
So there's the safeguards. Okay, right here. We are going to talk about, do you understand? So in therapy, before you started therapy, did you have an understanding for what it was that happened?
Yes.
We kind of but we both knew that there were things that happened, but we normalized them in our thoughts.
I knew what happened. I'm very, very thankful and blessed and praise God for that. I never blamed myself. By the grace of God, I know that's not everybody's story, but I knew that it was abnormal. I knew it was wrong.
So you say that there was grooming leading up to, but now being in the day to day,
Right.
were there routines that would happen prior to
Yes.
the instances?
So
And do you mind talking about
no,
them? I know.
don't.
Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah.
not at all. I was abused really anytime my grandfather had me alone. So, unfortunately, anytime that I would visit my parents that were on drugs at the time, he would take me. They lived like either in a motel or Hotel 6 or in the ghetto or in a trailer park. My grandfather would always be the one to drive me. I have no memory of my grandma ever taking me. And so he would either abuse me on the car ride there or on the car ride home. And or I would go. I didn't stay with my parents a ton when I lived with my grandparents for that period of time. But he took every advantage anytime I was alone. And I remember being abused. And it's crazy because, like you said earlier, like I remember the type of fabric on the seats and I just like everything. I would, like you, I would kind of have that outer body of experience. It would be happening to me, but I would be looking out the window and watching the cars pass by or looking at signs of gas stations or, trying
Singing a
to
song in
not
my
be
head.
present. So, yeah, there was a routine. There was another thing that I don't think we talked about, I wanted to bring up, which my girls, I'm very protective. They don't really stay at people's houses. But if you have that, even if it's grandparents, right? Like you let your kids go stay with, this is like a big thing, is always make sure they have bottoms on. So it was always a t-shirt for me or a nightgown and my underwear, which is easy. Or you'd say come out with no underwear on because you're not trying to shuffle and get your clothes on quick.
Yeah.
It's easy access. So that's one thing that if you're listening to this, you've never been abused, you never want your children to be abused, or you don't even have children yet. Good for you for listening to this.
Yeah.
But, that's one thing is make sure they're in a set. And I don't think it's really appropriate unless they're a tiny little toddler running around and they're in a little diaper. But, I think they should be in a set. Well, they have so many cute pajamas now. But like for me, that's one of the things is I would make sure that they
Less
had
access.
less access. Make it harder.
Make it harder.
But yeah, I was abused. Yeah, in his car. I remember being abused on the trampoline, and I remember prepping the clothing. Right, no, come out with no underwear on, and just this and that. And my grandma would take a bath every night, and that's when I was abused more than likely most of the time. Or if she went to the grocery store, or we knew she was going to be gone, and everybody would come in through the garage, so we'd hear the door. So we would always know if someone, like, because my aunt at the time, she's older than me. Let's see. I don't know the difference, but she's much older. I was in elementary school. She was in her later stages of high school. So, he also had her, but she was always gone. But yeah, so yeah, it was my grandma taking a bath anytime she's gone. If she went and got like her hair done.
Mm-hmm.
But the bath time was every night, and that's I would hear that water turn on, and then it was
And
like,
you knew.
oh yeah.
My God.
So yeah, those are the preparations. Was I prepared? No. Did I want it? No. But I knew it was happening, and I knew I was going to be forced into it. And then I didn't talk about this earlier, but sometimes he would come in my bedroom at night too.
Yeah.
Sneak in there. He didn't do that often because I don't think he wanted to get caught.
Did you have any feelings towards your grandmother during this, where you were angry with her, or you thought...
During it, yes, I had a little anger because I was my grandfather's like puppet, kind of like you or your dad's bride, right? I was his fixation, right? Like, he craved me, he wanted me, it was all me. And my grandma was really cold towards me. She felt like I took a part of her husband, right? Because once I moved in, I took a big portion of that, like, love, affection, right? He was love and affectionate towards me. They still hugged and kissed and held hands and stuff, but it then had to be shared. And I don't think she liked that. I don't know. I can't speak for her, but she would be cold towards me sometimes. Or she'd make comments, well, you don't need to do that for her, or this or that. There's some jealousy there.
It's funny you say that, because I really do. Yeah, I mean, I always thought that there was jealousy towards my mother, because my father came from a divorce. He divorced his one of his wives. And I always thought that the jealousy came towards my mom, because he left their mother for mine. But I wouldn't be surprised now listening to you, because then I always knew that I had a sibling who definitely would have been jealous that if they were having this abuse happening to them too, which it was, that it stopped and then it came to me. And I've learned that is something that becomes... sometimes people don't realize that there's abuse happening to another person, but when the affection has been left from them and it goes to their new victim, that person holds some resentment, but they can't fathom that that's going to be happening to the other person. Do you think your grandmother had any inklings?
Yes.
So that would make sense because of the bit of jealousy.
Well, and I know we haven't gotten into that, into this part of my story. It's because it's very, it's a lot, but
yeah.
So when my grandmother finally caught him, so I would have been like 13 and a half, and he would always abuse me, like a lot of the times, like out in the living room on the couch. And she had started the shower, got the bubble bath or whatever, and she had forgotten like her robe or a towel or soap or something. She never would walk, like, because the way that the house was, she never would walk like back into the living room, because all of the bedrooms and everything were in the back. It's a small house. And so she had walked into the living room and then saw him sexually abusing me and just screamed this horrific cry, wail, like murder scream. And I just like froze, felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't know what to do. And now this is all exposed, right? And so my grandfather just yelled at me. They both yelled at me, and they yelled for me to go to my bedroom. And I sat in my room for 3 hours, and I could hear them yelling, going through it, blah, blah, blah. He had convinced my grandmother, which is, I was a child. I was in the, I would have been in the 8th grade, which is crazy because you think 8th grade, like, kids are mature and, like, older, but I was in the 8th grade. And they made me stay in my room, so they isolated me. My grandfather isolated me. And at some point, I don't know, because my grandma smoked, so she'd either been smoking a cigarette or something. He came in the bedroom really quick. He's like, if you tell her anything, you tell her I've been abusing all this long, you tell her it only happened twice. If you tell her, I'll kill you. I'll kill your mom, your dad. You tell her it's only happened twice. And I was scared.
Yeah, of course you were scared. You were a child.
She never asked me, hey, what's been going on, So they finally called me out of my room, and I'm, like, terrified. I'm, like, crying and by myself, alone, praying. I prayed a lot as a child. Praying to God, like, oh, my God, this is... Because as a kid, that's just, like, no one ever, I hope... none of my kids ever experienced that, but no one ever gets to be put in that situation. You know how it feels. It's horrific. So I remember my grandma sitting me down on the fireplace, because, again, details... when you go through stuff like that, you remember all these. I remember sitting in the it was like stone, and
it's like flash.
It's like cold, and I remember sitting on it, and I remember crying. My grandma saying, she basically said, "How dare you? How could you steal my husband? You're a sleazy. You're a slut. You were just like your mom. Your mom used to sneak out, and I can't believe you would steal my husband from me." That's what she told me. So then, as a young child, that's for years I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything until I was 18, and then 19 I pressed charges. So fast forward, right? So as an adult, I left their home when I was 14, never went back.
So you left at 14. Leave. Okay. So yeah, that's where we were going. So once you had told... You were there for how long?
So that all happened.
Once they found out, Once they found out. You were there a year, 6 months?
I was there like 6 months.
6 months.
My grandma never, after that, never left me alone with him. She tried her best. I was never alone with him again after that.
Did the abuse stop?
Knew it wasn't all me.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
So, because if I was the person at fault, which obviously not, no one's ever at fault. I was a child, whatever. She never left me alone with him until I left. So at that time, the abuse happened. She found out. A few months later, she had found out he was having an affair with a lady at work that was in her 20s.
Oh, he was really busy.
Busy and bad. So they separated, and the reason why they separated was because he was a child molester and molested me. He left because my grandma found out about the affair. And so he went to live in an apartment, and during that summer, so it was the summer I was about to turn 14.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandma was like, I don't know what to do. I can't have you live here. I can't afford you anymore. He moved out. So you're going to go live with your mom and dad. They were living in this the trailer park's not even there anymore. It's been demolished.
Mm-hmm.
This horrible trailer park. My parents were cooking meth at the time. So I leave Highland Village, the old part.
Highland Village, nice.
To a normal, like, going to school every day on time and having dinner and that normal part, right? To the ghetto, to horrible, back into that. And my grandfather wanted me to live with him. He called my parents' house, the house phone, because we didn't have cell phones back then, and asking, he'd call for me. And I finally told my mom, like, if he calls, don't give me the phone. I'm not going to talk to him.
Yeah.
Now, she never asked me why, but he wanted me to come live with her. And to this day, knock on wood, and just for my safety and for God, like, thank God I never lived there, because he would have started raping me all the time, and I probably would have gotten pregnant. I was already having a period. So, yeah, I am very grateful that didn't happen, even though I lived with my parents for a short period of time, and then eventually was adopted. Or my neighbors took me in that I knew from my grandparents. So they lived down the street from my grandparents' house. So I was in independent foster care. I lived with my parents for about 6 months. It was horrific. No sexual abuse, thank God for that. Well, kind of, but not from him. I had a 21-year-old boyfriend at the age of 14.
Yeah, you gotta.
Thought that was normal, which is totally not normal.
No,
and
but
you can't do that legally.
Your body's used to having a craving for the state of arousal because it is used to that. And that's why a lot of us go not seeking our fathers. We go and seek that comfort that we were receiving from our abusers.
Right. And we were poor, and he worked, and I basically, he would work and I would get his money so that I could buy stuff for school. And I had stuff that I needed, which I didn't have much. We lived in this really bad trailer. And like on that topic, like I remember my grandma bagging my stuff up still, like horrible memories of that, is bagging all my stuff up in black trash bags and dropping it off. And then I remember when I was adopted, the same. It was all bagged up in black trash bags. Why black trash bags? I don't know, because they're big. And then getting toted off to my my adopted family, or they had legal guardianship of me. But yeah, I hated that. I hate it because it made you feel like trash. Bagging all your stuff up in trash.
They didn't put it in suitcases
or totes
or something.
There's other ways to go about it.
Yeah, than to do the trash bag. So okay, you've been gone for a while now, and then all of a sudden you show back up on mom and dad's doorstep. What did they not ask? Like, why is she back here? What happened? Why are you here?
They knew that my grandfather had the affair. That's all they really knew. They were so heavy.
Just
in a meth. The guy down the street was cooking it. My dad would buy in. I learned about meth. And by the grace of God, thank God, I'm not a druggie. I never did that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, they were not in their right mind to even. I think my mom knew, obviously, because my mom was abused by him.
Yeah.
So I know my mom knew. My mom said too, because when I told her I'm not going to answer the phone.
She knew.
She knew.
She knew at that point.
Yeah. And so I lived with them for that very short period of time. Then was adopted by legal guardianship with my adopted family. Lived with them until I was 18, and they lived in the newer part of Highland Village that was being built at the time.
So tell me, when you went to them, what did nobody there ask you about?
They never asked. I wanted to share at the age of let's see, I would have been 16. And at the time I didn't feel safe. And they asked. My adopted mom and I, we've had some things through the years, on and off, like had periods of not talking. And I was just afraid. I didn't feel like I could trust them. And deep down, I was a good student. I was always at school. I was never really late. I wanted to basically check all the boxes because I knew if I mess this up, if I royally fuck this up, I know what I'm going back to. And I didn't want to go back to that. I wanted to at least graduate high school, get my driver's license, because none of the females in my life, besides my grandma, had a driver's license. Done that. And so I wanted to at least graduate high school. And so, yeah, I was a good student. That's the thing is, people that go through these bad situations, we're almost like this, me and you, I could say, we are this energy, this huge energy of a person, because you can go through all that and then still function in society. And I've always been fun. I've always have fun. Let's go do this. Adventurous, very caring, loving, just fun. And I know that I wish none of this ever happened to me. It did. And I'm glad we're talking about it, because I don't think it's talked about enough, especially not into the detail that we are today. Live for people to hear, right? If they wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's made me who I am. I didn't want to mess things up. I survived. I got through it. I moved out on my own at 18, got my own apartment. Me and my husband met at 17. We're still married. Thank God, still married. He has been just an amazing person. Like, it makes me cry because we do fight really hard, but we love really hard.
Yeah.
But he's been my best friend.
Yeah. He's your support.
He was one of the people that I told. And he didn't judge me. He loved me. He didn't have any these crazy reactions. And my husband, when I told him he had never had sexual abuse. He had nothing to
go off
a radar of anything. But my husband always loved me and never judged me, was there for me. And I'm so glad that I could have chose a horrible person. Cycles of abuse usually repeat. But, I felt safe. And so when I told him, he looked at me and he's like, because he only met my grandparents like twice. And he goes, yeah, well, we went over to meet your grandparents. Your grandfather kissed you on the mouth. And I thought that was really weird. And he goes, I knew something was up. I just didn't know what it was. Because we had sex. And again, I was old enough to have sex. I was living on my own. And I'd come out just crying. And I'm like, if I tell you this, I hope you don't leave me. I hope you don't judge me. Like, if I tell you this, you have to promise you won't leave. Because I was so afraid. Because it was heavy. I mean, who comes out and says that? And even no matter where you're at on your journey, for anyone listening, if you are, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I have people in their 60s that tell me that I've never told their husband, and then tell their husband. I always try to encourage them to get help.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And males, too.
I would not be here.
And males, too.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Or the wives tell me, don't say anything. As a hairstylist, right? This happened to my husband, right? And so to me, I'm so grateful my husband's response was the way it was, because all the other responses I had gotten were always bad. It was me, it's your fault, you're this, you're that, right? So, yeah, and that's, again, why would I tell when I was young? Never felt safe. And then even me telling my husband and telling one of my friends in high school at like 18, 19 was very brave of me, because I was blamed, So that's why sexual abuse is difficult. And it's very entwined with the family. And so once I knew I was going to come out with this, my whole family would never get together anymore. We wouldn't have Christmases over there anymore. I was like basically the martyr. Not really, because it had nothing to do with me. It was all him. But I knew that it was now going to be a very big division in the family.
Yeah. I fucking took a wrecking ball and I crushed my family. I mean, all the kids. No, I didn't.
It was their doing.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there were too many adults. I can't speak for my family. I can't speak for my family, but I know that it was not. Nobody liked me speaking up my opinions and my thoughts, and so I just get louder.
Yeah.
I just get louder. If you don't like it, then you should just delete me from your life. Like, I'm going to share because, like you said, this conversation doesn't happen publicly. You don't get to talk about this stuff very often without, people really having deep. I don't like to put this on people, It's I've lived it. But it's important to have that dialogue to talk about, because if not, then we crumble. Like, we crumble. And that was really nice when you said that you were able to go to your husband. I remember going to my husband. I didn't know about this stuff until EMDR with my father. I knew that I had unnatural reactions to flashes of things that had happened through my life that involved my father and men that he was involved with. And I never had any concrete story to go on, because I guess I just would shut my brain off. And So it's important that we talk about these things, because when I did tell my husband about when I was molested, he had a different reaction than my other people that I had told, like friends growing up. This person molested me, and I'd be like, oh yeah, well, just moving on, like probably not want to make a big deal about it. My husband did help me make a big deal about it. You don't have to go spend time with those people, even though this happened 20 years ago. Like, you don't have to go and spend time with your family. We don't have to see them at Christmas. You never have to see any of those people ever again. And I'm like, I'm not a bad person for wanting to like never see my family, like the people that raised me.
Nope.
No, you have your own family now.
And what's crazy is the holidays, and I think for you, for me, it's hard. Holidays are probably hard for you. They're hard for me. But it makes you think that sometimes we give our family way too much credit and grace. And the only reason why I stuck around and saw my grandparents for that short period of time until I pressed charges is because I wanted to still maintain, because I was the only biological family I have, even though I was with my adopted family. But, I had aunts, uncles, and other people.
Yeah.
But
Nieces, nephews, cousins.
The holidays are tough. But I think for me, and maybe for you too, is I'm just learning to make new memories, starting over, doing different things different, and making it fun, and making my kids make these new memories.
Traditions.
Traditions that, and some, my grandma being the cook she is, some of them are good, hard memories, but I'm grateful that I can appreciate them for what they are.
I do tell my kids, I'm like, my monsters were not your monsters. Like, my father is not your monster. Like, I had amazing. So I do tell them, I'm like, there are things that I teach you that my father taught me. There are traditions that I still do. There are beliefs that I do believe were good beliefs, core values that I pass on to my kids. And I'm like, and other people who have been abusive towards me, I'm like, they're not you don't trigger them. You don't get these things from them like I do. So my memories for you shouldn't be tainted. Like, that's your grandfather. Without him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be this cool mom that I am without him.
And I don't know how you are with your husband, your new husband, but like even with my husband, it's been actually healing to see him interact and love my kids. And my daughters love my husband. They are very close to him. And he knows I would kill him if he ever touched him, which he never would. But we stuck around this far.
Goes without saying.
He is such a good dad, and it's just good to see healthy. What healthy looks like.
Yeah, boundaries. Yes. Right?
Healthy.
Yeah, healthy. It's a weird thing.
I'm like, wow, this is normal. This is what normal should look like.
Yeah. I'm ready to get to this. Ooh, I keep touching this thing. I'm ready to get to this portion because this is where you put on the cape. Okay, so now you've left grandma's house. You've left adopted family. You have moved out and you are living. And take me back to this moment where you have found out information about your grandfather and the potential.
So I was 19, living on my own, in my own apartment. And I had found out through, because I still, we had Facebook and MySpace back then, but I knew that one of my aunt's best friend, that she was kind of like a sister to me too, like an aunt to me too, because we grew up together. It was my aunt's very best friend, and we still talk to this day. And so she had children, and I had found out that, I don't know if they had spent the night or were going to spend the night, but I had found out through a post that, hey, my grandparents are watching other kids. And my aunt and uncle, which is my uncle by blood and my aunt, they had, at the time, my nephew, and sometimes they would watch him. And I just was like, there's no way. I can't have them watch any kids, because I knew it was going to happen again.
Yeah.
Without me even knowing the details of what was further to come. But at night, I would have this gut-wrenching feeling. I can't sleep at night, toss and turn, pray to God. God help me. But God's like, no. You have this. You need to say the truth, speak your truth, which was very scary. Because considering all the stuff that I had gone through. And so, yeah, basically I had told my my uncle's wife at the time. I did not know any of this. I was very young. But my aunt had worked at the Children's Advocacy Center in Louisville. And I did not know this. I know she worked with troubled kids. And I knew that they were watching my aunt's kids too. Or my aunt's child at the time. They have another daughter. But my aunt. And so I told my aunt I would still see my grandparents. Because I would go to their house and I would cut hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I would cut my aunt's hair. Or my uncle's hair. Or whoever. Right? And I told my aunt, I was already in my own apartment by myself. I told my aunt, I was like, hey, again, this is my aunt by marriage, not by blood. My aunt by marriage. She was never abused by him or anything. Separate. And she's like, hey, I told her, I was like, can you come to my apartment? I want to cut your hair there. And I was like, she's like, okay. And she knew that Jesse and I were together. And like, we were close with them. And so in her mind, she thought I was pregnant, right? Like I was 19. She's thinking I'm pregnant. I got knocked up by my husband. You know.
Whole other ballgame.
Right. Was not, by the way. But I wanted to tell her what was happening. And I wanted to warn her, like, hey, don't have the kids go over there. Yeah. Or her kid at the time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I had her come to my house, and she's like, hey, what do you need to tell me? What do you need to tell me? I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell you. Like, you can wait till I'm done with the haircut, because if I tell you, I'm going to cry, and then I can't finish your haircut. And so anyway, I cut her hair. She's like, this is like the worst.
That was the worst.
So I know. So my uncle and my nephew are at my grandparents' house. She drove to Louisville, where we lived, to get her haircut in my apartment. So I tell her, and she's like, Tessie, you don't know what I do. And I was like, no. And she's like, I work for the Children's Advocacy Center. Like, she's like, you have to report this. Like, and again, all the law stuff. But she was so good. She encouraged me. She's like, look, this is not your, she stayed very close with me and in touch with me. She's like, this is not your fault. You need to report this. She gave me the push to like, go through the actual legal process, like go file. She's like, I was like, well, what do I do?
Yeah, I don't even know what to do.
I didn't know.
Are they going to believe me? Has it been too long? Blah,
yes.
blah. Like, you know.
She goes, no, it hasn't been too long. I had to go to the Highland Village Police Station, file a police report, go in there and file a police report, write down everything that I could somewhat remember. And then literally later that day, they called me in for questioning, and it was like over a 3.5 hour interview. And they were like, just tell us everything you remember. If he has any tattoos, any birthmarks on his body, where it happened, when it happened, how often it happened, like everything.
Everything.
I didn't know what I was getting. And it was at the Children's Advocacy Center that I went to, which is in Louisville. It was like a, what's it called? There's a double wall, a double mirror.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the double-sided mirror.
Yes, double-sided mirror. So there's like my investigator and some other people watching everything, and then I had the therapist like interviewing me and the person questioning me. And so yeah, and it happened very quick after that. It was filing a police report, getting questioned, and then the ball started rolling. And I didn't know what to expect. I was like scared. What if he tries to like come and kill me or whatever?
Yeah. He told you he would.
And I look back at, like, when I went to file my police report, I will say I wish, speaking of, you were asking me questions, I wish that they had, when somebody comes in and file a sexual assault, they really should have an advocate there and say, look, not to speak, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
To advocate for you, you know. And that's what the sweet guy that like did all that originally. His name was Jesse, spelled just like my husband's name, which made me cry even more.
Oh, that was a thing.
And it was like, we have to write down everything you can remember. You don't understand, like this police report, which is so stupid that it's that way. write down everything. And so that's what I did. I wrote down literally everything I could in writing, and then did the interview. And then, yeah, both my grandparents were arrested. They both were. She didn't get convicted, but he did. But because the statute of limitations had wore out for my grandmother, she didn't get a felony charge for like failure to report. But he ended up getting charged. And then through all that, I found out. So when all this happened quickly, I was in therapy. My therapist was like, you really need to call and let your family know if you feel whatever. And so I did, and my mom just started crying.
So after they had already been arrested, and then you called your family?
It might have been right before they were arrested. Because, again, it was so fast.
And you were telling you were like, what do I do now?
And the therapist
is
like, well, you need to tell your mom and dad.
What's coming?
And so I did. I told my mom and dad. My mom just started crying.
What'd she say?
She said, not you too. Girl.
Did you want to go through the phone in that? What were you feeling? What did you feel? What did you feel?
Anger. Because I had no clue. And she goes, you need to call and talk to your aunt, which is her sister. That's older. I think they're like 3 years apart.
And not the uncle?
What are you talking about?
No uncle too?
No uncle. He only abused my mom and my aunt too, on top of me, that I know of. And so I called my aunt, and my aunt's crying and all upset. This is not the aunt that lived with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so I told her what happened, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, basically confirmed that he did a lot to her. And he's like, she was telling me that, he did this stuff to your mom too. Is when my step-grandfather, moved in with my grandma, again, the grooming thing, right? She was a single mom of 3 kids. So it had been her 3rd marriage. My biological grandfather, they had 3 kids. My aunt, my mom, and my uncle. My aunt, mom, uncle, their real dad, my pops, he's been dead since I was like 16. He was a drug addict, was in the war, got kicked out of the war. She left him and then married her second husband, and then had my uncle who's married to the wife that I told.
Mm-hmm.
So she was single mom, working all the time, never there for probably her own kids.
Yeah.
The 4 that she had at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The 4.
Yeah.
So gets divorced from the second husband, meets this guy at work, my grandfather, step-grandfather, and my mom would have been 10, almost 11. My aunt would have been like maybe 13.
There's an age.
He was like 22.
Yeah.
He was 13 years younger than my grandma. Moved in, and then he started molesting them. Before me. Way before me.
And if someone had gone to the police, maybe it wouldn't have happened. That's the thing.
But that was taboo back then.
Yeah, it was so taboo back then. So he's been arrested. Let's walk from there. What happens when someone's arrested? So he got arrested. Did he get to bail out?
So, yes. So he got arrested.
He bailed out?
Bailed out.
So what did you do? Did you run away? What did you do?
No, I didn't know what to do. But I will say through the DA's office in Denton County, I had 2 attorneys. They were phenomenal. They told me, like, not to panic. Don't do anything crazy, because I did want to. I wanted to, like, put a sign in his yard, like, this is a pedophile lives here, or, like, egg it, or TP it, or whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, just set it on fire, whatever.
Fucking burn
everything. Yeah, hairspray, match.
But I knew that wouldn't help my case, so I just waited. So he went to jail. I think he was only in there for, like, a week. My grandma went to jail. She got out quicker, because her charges weren't. They got him on 5 counts. My grandfather, 5 counts.
Did they stay together through this?
Yes, still together. Still waiting for him to get out of prison in a year now. June 5th, 2027, he'll get out. And he's going to go live with her. So anyway, that all happened. I had to wait 3 years, almost 3 years, for it to actually go to trial. Because what happens during that process, and I'm so thankful for, I don't think people realize through the state of Texas, there's lots of free counseling. You can do the Children's Advocacy Center, even though you're not a child. Some places will take you on as an adult. They will basically either find someone in-house. You want to go whatever county you're in. So I know we're in Denton, but it doesn't matter, Collin or Dallas or whatever. So so basically, through Denton County, I had therapy through Denton County, and they took me on. And then there's also there's funding. So when all this happened with my grandfather, they knew where I lived, and so the crime victim compensation. They were able to pay for me to move to a different apartment, so they didn't know where I lived.
Nice.
And so they paid for like the new breaking the lease and then all that, whatever.
All that.
So there's a lot of help, and even through the there is the women's shelter in Denton, and they offer therapy, group therapy, regular therapy, and even the Children's Advocacy Center, they offer it too. So there is a lot of free therapy, because I think when people think, oh, this is like this monster thing, we don't have the funds for it. I hear that a lot too, even just behind the chair. But there's a lot of free counseling.
Yeah, there's free counseling.
That 3 years, I just got stronger and stronger and stronger. I hadn't had kids yet. My husband and we got married, and we moved in together, and I was doing support groups. I read twice through that Courage to Heal book. It has 6 writing exercises. I did that twice. Which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever done it, but you should.
Which one?
We should do it together. The Courage to Heal.
I've never done that.
It's so good. There's 6 writing exercises, and I got a little freedom in that.
Oh, yeah. I would need to try. I need to look. Well, I don't need to. I will look into it.
And so Elaine Bass, and then I forget the other writer in it. Anyway, so we waited that 3 years. Then it went. Then they would call. Like, so my attorney would call through, which was through the state appointed. I didn't have a fancy lawyer. He got a fancy lawyer in Dallas, paid. I think they spent half their retirement on it. And so, yeah, so I had to wait. They kept giving me plea deals. Oh, we'll give him 7 years of parole. Oh, well, obviously you'd have to register as a sex offender on all those charges.
That doesn't stop them.
He'll have to register for a sex offender, and he'll be on probation for 15 years or this or that. And like, for me, I finally got mad after like the 7th one. I was like, don't even fucking call me. I'm not agreeing to any of your fucking deals. Sorry to cuss.
No.
I want to go to trial. I want justice. And all your deals are garbage.
Yeah.
You deserve to sit behind a jail cell, sit in prison, and at least suffer for the years that I suffered. At least.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I pushed. I didn't accept any deals. And we went to trial. It was 4 days through Denton County. Very nerve-wracking. We went through it. My attorneys were amazing. And pause real quick. I found out later that Ryan Bruner, who was my attorney back then, he actually trains a lot of North Texas on sexual assault, and he uses my case, or did at some point in time, as an example.
Wow,
So I had great.
That's bummer, but that's really.
But he was so good.
He was
and
invested.
I found my voice, I would say. I got the jackpot in anybody that's been sexually abused to like go to trial, right? Like, I got basically the bells and whistles and justice. So originally when I went to trial, I went through all that, you go back and forth. They try to, I don't know how you blame a kid, but they tried to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They try to say that, oh, I had loose sex screws and this and that. Like, they try to bring in all this evidence. And during all that evidence, they brought up, my grandfather was in therapy at the time through his court that he chose, whatever, his attorney. And he had brought up that he had abused my mom and my aunt. So that was brought out in court on top of what I already knew, because they told me, confessed to me. So that was brought up in court. And then, and so basically, when my grandma had to be there because she was a witness, because even though they couldn't get her on failure to report a crime, because the statute of limitations had wore off. It has to be within a 5-year window. It had been like 7. So those got dropped. And even during the sentencing. She was like, well, what am I supposed to do now? You're going to send my husband to prison. How am I supposed to live? Blah, blah, blah. And the judge just looked at her and said, how dare you? Like, how about your granddaughter? And how about your daughters? Like, he goes, you're so lucky I can't put you in prison too. But yeah, so long story short, when it all had, the trial had gone through and they had presented all the evidence. And I will say this, my attorney goes, I want you to tell me the most unhinged thing, cringe, that you can tell me. He goes, you're not convincing me. He goes, I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not convincing the other guy. I believe you. You're not convincing us. We're for you. And I had an advocate too through the DA's office. Her name was Veronica Bruner. She was amazing. And he goes, you're not convincing us because we're for you. We believe you. Obviously, we're doing this. He goes, you have 12 people you have to convince.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's what I did. He goes, tell me the unhinged cringe thing that you remember as a kid. And he goes, just tell me like it is. And don't ask me because I'll tell you the truth.
Do you want to tell us? Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Of course. Tell us. What took him out? What took him out?
I said, I told them, none of you, I said, there's 12 of you guys. There's many people in your family that have been sexually assaulted, male or female. And I said, so statistically, you guys we're the same at somewhere, right? 12 divided by 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 4 of you guys sitting here will have this happen in your lifetime, you or someone else. And he said, well, what do you remember the most? And I said, I still remember the taste of his penis as a 4-year-old, my mouth being shoved on his dick. That's what I remember. The smell, the taste. That's my first memory of any sexual encounter. And I think that was the nail in the coffin because that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. And it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And still sometimes I'm like, my husband has to shower every time we have sex. Because I'm like, no, never clean. And my husband's great. We have a great sex life. But yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, it is a fucked up thing that, like, it's something that I've come to terms with. I'm coming to terms with that I didn't have control over who gave me my first sexual experience. And that is bullshit. And when you have someone who says things like, why didn't you say something? It just makes it so much worse because it's like it was your
Right.
fault. And I'm like, that was supposed to be like, they make movies about it. They write books about your first sexual encounters, your marriage, your husband, your this. And you had it at such a young age, you know? It's like, I just think gross. Just gross. Yeah. Beyond.
But I will say a part of the justice system, which good for Denton County and good for the state of Texas because they're strict on their policies. But
is he castrated?
I wish.
Yeah. Okay. They're not that strict.
But no, he originally got like 7.5 years. And at the end, the judge stacked every single charge.
Good.
So he got 23.5, even though he will get out at, 16.5. But still, I feel blessed that I got the justice that I deserve. And that anybody that's been sexually assaulted.
16.5 years?
Yes. Yeah. But, there's a lot of people that they don't even go to prison. Or they get parole. Or they get a slap on the wrist. Or get raped. Oh, he just raped her. Or this or that. Like, no. Again, I feel I got justice. But I will fight and continue to fight. I don't want him to live in my same county. So that's like next on my list. I have 1.5 years to prepare for that and get ready for that. I don't ever want to run him anywhere. See him at the grocery store, especially in Highland Village is very small. You live in the area.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I feel for me, the process helped me. There's a lot of healing in mine. And I feel sad for people that never got that justice. But speaking on behalf of anybody that didn't have that, I'm sorry that no one got that.
I know.
And you didn't get that. But I fought for it, and we're here talking about it.
We are here talking about it, and we're sharing it so that more people will feel empowered to speak up for themselves or someone close to them.
Right.
You know? I'm trying to see what my next question is for you because I want to make sure I get everything.
You know what? You know what we should talk about is sex after abuse.
Yeah.
That's something that doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering about in your therapy. So you started your therapy when you went into the court system.
19.
At 19, when you started this. So when you started
The
this,
journey.
The
Yeah.
journey. How has your therapy changed between then and now?
So much has changed. I think then it was basically control, trying to control me. I was starting to get anxiety, all these things, try to get me down to like a normal level, deal with stuff, talk about stuff. It was very raw, real, which was good. And then getting prepared for trial, going through trial, you have all those big things. And I think I was just eager to, I got to the point where I was mad and angry that I wasn't going to allow him to steal anything else from me. My sex life, my husband, me being a mother to my children. I wasn't going to let him steal any of that anymore. He already stole so much of my youth. I wasn't going to let him steal anymore. And so when I originally started therapy, I had that attitude. And it's changed in the sense now that I have kids, other things pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But in that first intense, I was going every week for 2 years, and I graduated through like the program. But I mean, it was all on deck. There was, again, I addressed the orgasm thing and feeling guilty and then having flashback for years. In the beginning, I had horrible nightmares. I don't know if you did, but I did. And I still do every once in a while. They're mild.
I don't
not
dream
as frequent.
anymore. I haven't dreamt in years. I don't remember the last time I dreamt, really.
But that was intense. So yeah, I that happened, and then I've had it, through marriage. My husband and I've had our issues, and then having kids, and then just my own personal. It's kind of been, highs and lows, and then good periods. And I'm in therapy now and doing EMDR, and I think it's just bringing stuff up that I had so much that I'm like, okay, I still feel like I need some detail work.
So on the sexual trauma in your therapy, did you find that there were any effective means of therapy that helped you overcome? Do you still struggle sometimes
I still
in intimacy with that? Are there any things that your therapist has told you that might help you feel less like tricks that you might, without having to disassociate? Because we can all we did do stuff we didn't want to and we were fine with it. But so when you are in an intimate situation and you find yourself thinking of other things, how do you bring yourself back into that moment?
So I will say, again, I have that history with my husband. He's never ever been forceful or made me ever do anything that I didn't want to do, which is huge.
Huge.
Always believed me. Yeah. And so he's always been a safe person and cried when I've cried or I've had triggers or nightmares, and he's been there for me, cried with me because it's like horrific. So he's a safe person. And so I will say now it's just taking years. It hasn't been easy. I would say, let's see, we'll be together 19 years in January.
You just had your
16th wedding anniversary. Yes. Praise, I gotta clap for that one.
You're 14. I know. It's like, hey, we're getting there, girl. Yeah, high five for that one.
I know, but I will say it's good. My husband has learned how to take care of me. I can take care of him. If I say, hey, I'm not in the mood to do this, right? Because it's a trigger. I don't, I'm not in a dick sucking mood tonight, Yeah. I don't want to suck dick tonight.
Yeah, and he doesn't
care.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets it.
Or like, hey, if I want to be a little fun and crazy, be willing to do that. But I've learned through the years, like to be upfront and say, hey, I'm not feeling it or this or that. Finding my voice. I think I've learned to find my voice for a long time. I didn't have a voice. I couldn't say no.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You didn't get to have a
Yeah.
voice. Like any voice you had, it was kind of buffered.
Right.
You know, it was censored, buffered, however you want to put it. But
yeah, I will
that's
say
a big
all the
thing.
therapy, I think a lot of it was information they gave me. I'm a visual learner, auditorial learner, so that was easy for me. But I think I took it and ran with it. I didn't want my grandfather to steal any more than he already stole.
But learning control of your body and being able to be like, I mean, there are times sometimes that, you know, you might not feel intimate for 2, 3, 4 months. That's not anybody's fault. Like it's not a lack of attractiveness to the partner. It has not, it doesn't, I mean, unless the partner is a difficult spouse, you know, but if you have a spouse who's actively part of your healing journey and you come to them and you're like, you know, I really am not feeling intimate and it has nothing to do with them. And so that helps relieve some of, because I think that it would be difficult to be married and then someone's like, you know, hey, I don't really feel like having sex this night for like 2 months. And they must internalize it some and go, is it me? You know, like why don't they want to be with me? I thought they loved me. And it's like, brother, it's not you. It's my brain, you know?
I know that it's important. So I still try to be
attentive.
But other than that, I think I enjoy sex now, which I never thought I would say that.
Yeah, because it was scary.
Because it was, so tainted and wrong and forced and horrible things happened. But I realized I took that back for me and for my husband, you know, that our intimacy is good. And he doesn't just show me love in the bedroom. He loves me outside. He does stuff for me, brings me flowers. He loves on me. He hugs me, tells me I'm beautiful all the time, even before I came here. Like, oh my God, you know, can't keep his hands off me. So it's not just words. And you got to warm up the oven before you put the turkey in.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's so pretty. So I want to go into just kind of wrapping it up. And I want to make sure I grab everything that I think could be beneficial for the listeners and any professionals that are listening. Do you have flashbacks still that you struggle with?
I would say they're a lesser occurrence, but yes.
And do you feel that therapy helped that?
Yes, I know how to deal with them. And I will say I have my husband who I can share that with. And I wish he was here and, you know, he could attest to that. But I have learned to have a voice and talk to him. And that's taken years. I'm a very social, communicative person, but for my own emotions, expressing that, I suck. But I've learned to communicate with him. And he is very compassionate. And there's been times I would say maybe once or twice a year, like if we're in the middle of having sex, having a trigger, right? I can say, and he said, hey, we can stop. We don't have to do this anymore. You know, like
it's very helpful.
Like the last time I was like, no, just let me cry for a second. Let me get this off my chest. We'll talk about it later. Let's do this.
And
I'm getting an orgasm
You're like,
too.
I don't want to be left out.
At the end of this. It's not just about you.
That's hilarious. I love it. Yeah, it's not just about you. Like, yeah, I know we can quit, but no. Give me a minute. Do you ever feel that, so you are aware of your triggers. You can tell when you're triggered and you can recognize it, because I lived for so long without, you did too live for so long without even knowing. Like just the other day, I'm like, I realized I got triggered and I didn't even realize it. I thought I was just really, really, really upset. I was like, I'm just really, really upset. And then I was like, wait, this has a memory tied to it. And now I understand, like, when there's a memory tied to the emotion and there's a picture, a visual, I'm like, that's a freaking flashback. I just thought that was the way my brain worked, you know, like on an index of just flashcards and memories and things. So
I think I still have that too.
We're working on them. EMDR has helped, like,
But I'm able to communicate and tell my, like, I'm having a bad, he's like, you need to, because I was not good at that. I'm getting better. You need to tell me if you're having a bad day, if you're off, if you're emotional. And it may not be this major trigger, but at least I have that safe space to say, look, I'm really upset. I'm hurting today. I'm sad, or I've had a bad nightmare or whatever, having that.
Do you have any techniques that you use? Like, did you find that routine helps?
Yeah, routine is, I think that's what's got me to today is like working. And I think that, and even so, 2 years or a year and a half ago, my grandfather was supposed to get out and got denied parole.
Good.
And so that was a really hard year. And so during all that, I did some therapy then. I'm in therapy now, but I will say that it just makes me more aware. It makes me the therapy. It makes it. It's frustrating because it makes it seem so real and valid and sad, and I'm mad, but it's bringing all this stuff up that I still have locked in me. It's just facing it again.
Yeah.
And all those things are valid.
Facing it again with support. That was what the difference. That's the lack. If you had
and
support.
I have so many people around me that love me, that care about me, that check on me, that are Team Tesley, and it's just tapping into that. And I would say that working has helped. Talking about it more has helped. Finding people like you, like we have a common thread. They say people that are abused or have soul ties, because we do.
We do.
Mean, the whole things that we've talked about today, like there's no one else that would sit here that gets you like even though I didn't even know that I got you, we get each other.
We get
right?
each other. Yeah.
So I think talking about it is huge, and I think it's not really talked about.
Well, I think because people cope the same way when they're in the moments. I mean, they might not, some people might cut, some people might, do different things, but in the trauma, in the moment of the actual act of the trauma, I feel like we all cope. Fight, flight, fawn.
I do all
freeze, and so I feel like that's our connection, is we're so wired to fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Whereas the rest of society that doesn't have these deep traumas or any trauma, doesn't mean it's not going to come in the form of an accident or a lost loved one or something, in the future. Trauma affects everybody, I think.
Right.
But when you have repeated trauma over and over, you have very few ways to handle it. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. That's it. And so we know how to handle life. Even we're at the gas station and the guy in front of us is getting agitated at the cashier guy. It's like we instantly, alarm bell has just come up, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, because we have lived in this. Like we've lived with these alarm bells our whole life. And so we do function kind of a little bit the same. And I love that we are trying to find a way to break that system. I don't want to fight, flies, freeze, or fawn every time something deranged happens or different, even just an inkling of something different. So on that sense, how do you have a method that you use?
I love nature. I love being outside, love vacations too. Those are far and few. I think, for me, I talked to my husband about it. I try to realize that that's no longer the person I was. And, again, with me being in counseling, kind of bringing that up to her. But I'm a fight person.
Yeah.
And I'm not a quiet person. And I think, too, just continue to move forward. Like, I have so many people in my life, friends, laughter girl. I love to laugh. I love to have a good time. I push the boundaries, and that's okay. So I think, just knowing that life, I'm trying to still learn in this season, even now in my therapy, is I have so much to be grateful for and thankful for. And so even in those darkest times, taking a deep breath, saying, I've gotten this far. You can't give up. You're not alone. There's other people like us, And just I started working out again at a gym.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
helps.
That does help. It
I
helps.
love music. I love going out and having a good time. I love a good dinner. I love a good board game.
Music for sure.
And I know that it's odd, but people recharge me. I know they have like the introverts, and sometimes I do like to be alone. I like to just lay in my bed and sleep or watch TV in my bed. But I don't know. I think I'm still learning that.
Fill your cup.
I'm still learning that. I'm
Yeah.
not good at that completely yet.
Yeah, yeah. What did you wish? What do you wish that people understood about healing that is not visible? Do you have anything that you wish, like, you wish people just understood?
Healing that's not visible.
Let me rephrase
It's a
that.
hard question. No. I get it. I just have to think about it.
Yeah.
Wish that people would get that's not visible. I think every day showing up, every day being us, every day being a wife, every day me being a hairstylist, a business owner, every day being a wife, every day doing things, every day you get up and you wake up and we're not like crazy and out of control, that's a good day. I think the healing is not always in the big moments, the mountain moments, the moon, star, and sky. I think it's every day is showing up and being present. And even on those days you don't feel it, you're still there. And I think that's the part of healing that doesn't get talked about is even on those hard days, you still show up.
Not
And it's
going in just,
hard.
like,
It's hard.
numbing.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you're not numbing, you still show up, you still function, you still, and yeah, I think for me, even during that, when I thought my grandfather was getting out, I mean, it took everything. I mean, we were just sobbing in the
I
shower.
can feel it. Like, I can feel it when you said to me that you thought he was going to get out 2 years ago or something, and you said that was a really difficult year for you. Like,
I just remember
felt
crying,
that, like,
crying in a
feeling
towel
in me.
in the bathroom, and my husband's like, I was like, I don't think I can go to work today.
Like,
I don't think
freaking
I can
out.
go to
No.
work today.
You had
And he's
to.
like, look, it will be better. Just show up.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're gonna be okay, and just knowing that you're okay.
He's so smart.
Yes.
Yeah,
Too
that was
smart.
really encouraging.
That one's for you.
Just telling she loves you. This is for prevention, and we're wrapping it up right here. Is there anything that you wish parents understood about their own intuition?
Trust your mom gut always. Or even if you're not a mom, always trust your gut. If you're a teenager, if you're a teacher, if you work at a church, trust your gut. Your gut always knows. Male or female. Females can abuse too, sitters, whatever. Trust your gut. That is huge. Second is talk to your kids. I have a lot of people that sit behind my chair and I do their hair. They've been abused either by an older stepbrother, brother, uncle, grandfather, rando. Rarely is it someone in a creepy alley. That never really happens. It's such a small percentage, but a high school boyfriend or at a party or college, right? I think, like, if you have little children, it doesn't matter their age. I started talking to my kids from the age 2 and up. All my kids know they're kind of annoyed, but at least they know. And I've told them, if someone ever touches you inappropriately, I will always believe you.
Yeah.
And friends don't make friends, and friends don't make secrets. You never tell a lie. No one will lie to you. You don't ever believe a lie. Mom will always believe you, and my husband too. But I'm like, if you talk to them and you tell them this is not normal, that's not normal. And then my kids have picked up on cues. Like, we've been out and my daughter's like, Mom, that guy's creepy,
Yeah.
And not to say she could be true, she couldn't be true. But if in her heart she felt uncomfortable, that's her own conscience.
That's her intuition.
Intuition, how she feels. But as my 9-year-old saying that's pretty good. I feel like I've taught her. Now again, my kids go to school and they're around people. They're not like totally sheltered, but I want them to always trust their own gut, me to trust my gut, and to talk to them and tell them. My kids, 9, 11 and 13, they know I was sexually assaulted by my grandfather, and I've had two other abusers, but they know the facts. They don't know details because they're children. They haven't asked yet. I know
Yeah.
what that day will come
Yeah.
because they'll want to know, and I'll share with that when the time's appropriate. But they know no one's allowed to touch your body. No one's allowed to see you naked. They know all these rules when the only person that's ever allowed to look at your privates or touch it is the doctor when mom's in the room.
Yeah.
And, so for me, that is talking about it. I think it's a taboo subject, and call the parts for what they are.
Yeah.
Your breast, your boobs, your
Yeah.
vagina, your
Vagina, your
penis. We
penis.
call
Yeah.
it all the
Me
names.
too. Yeah.
You don't call your elbow
Your dodo or your
yeah, you don't
popo.
call
Yeah.
your finger something that's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've always used the names.
No, thank you. Yeah. It's not, it's
Talk about
yeah,
it.
talk about it.
And
Yeah.
it's really not that uncomfortable. I mean, if you have to get a science book that has pictures of parts, to say,
Yeah.
hey, this is da-da-da.
Yeah, if it's not your thing, if it's not your generation, you didn't grow up in the house and your mom wasn't like that, even if you weren't abused, you have no trauma, you're just uncomfortable with the dialogue. Don't be uncomfortable. Grow
Right.
up. Get some panties on. But doctors talk to children this way. We need to communicate. Children are not like unintelligent. You can have intelligent conversations
Right.
with your children and speak to them and inform them, and not saying anatomical body parts doesn't make you a better parent.
Right.
Saying, it doesn't make you a better parent, and it doesn't make you a worse
Well,
parent.
and then not only that, just leading up as they get older into middle school, they're going to have lots of questions. So at least my kids feel comfortable, and they have come
They
to
won't
me.
feel shame. Yeah.
I even have my nephew in raising him. He's come to us. He's asked me and my husband terminology and things, but he feels safe because we've never made it awkward. We've never judged him. He might have judged us, but
Yeah.
but he feels safe. So I think it's just talking about it is huge. And however you want to go about that. I know they have books and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always better when it can come from a parent. The first conversation is never fun, but then if you bring it up again and you talk about it a little, you don't have to have like a powwow in the living room.
And it's
could
not
be
a
in the
one-time
car.
conversation.
No, this can be every time I would pick up my kids, if I had both of them in the car, I'm like, oh, let me find a way to talk about something uncomfortable. I got both my kids in the car. We're in the car for 5 more minutes.
Right.
Literally, it's a Band-Aid ripped off. They're like, no, Mom. And I'm like, well, blah, 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 blah. And then we get home, conversation's done. By the 10th time I've done this, my kids didn't care anymore. They could care less. Now we say penis and vagina, and we say breasts.
Right.
And we do not have any, and we're not weirdo like people. But when we're talking about an anatomical body part, that's what we do. We talk properly.
Just talk about
because
it.
there's no shame. If you start giving weird names to body parts, then it becomes a shameful thing.
And not only that, if you make it weird, it's not weird. People
not
have
weird.
sex. That's
Yeah.
how they were born.
Do you wish that there was anything that your teachers could have done? Counselor.
Do I wish? Yes.
Maybe even giving kids
I will.
an anonymous sheet, an anonymous
Yeah.
paper that they can. I wrote something once to my counselor, and now I find it a clue. And it's one of the only things that my mother kept. And it was a paper that I submitted to the guidance counselor in 3rd or 4th grade. And I said, I made a paper to go talk to them. And it said, my mom and dad are getting a divorce. My mom and dad were not getting a divorce. Why did I want to go and talk to them? I don't remember writing this. I don't remember telling anybody, the teacher, that I wanted to, but they gave my mom that piece of paper. They didn't come and talk to me about it. They approached my mother. So they asked me a private question, is there anything, so they did kind of do this, I guess. And I wrote that my parents were getting divorced. And instead of speaking to the kid, they went to the parent.
Yeah.
So it's like, was I wanting to talk to someone about something and I didn't know how to go about it? So it's kind of weird. I think that there should be more questions asked in the school.
The school, the counselor, the teachers, but also in the home, right? Like even if your parents were in the position, but like family members too. I think there's value in that. And
Yeah.
I think we're in a different day and age.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord for that. But yeah, I will say I felt a lot of love from my teachers. So I would never take that away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to discuss before I
don't
have
think
any closing
so.
statements?
I hope this helps people. I hope that no matter where you are, my husband and I talked about this, months leading up to today. And he's like, what's the advice that you would give your 18-year-old self way back, right? Going way back for the police report, this or that. And that's the thing is like, for anyone that's sitting, listening, whoever you are, you're not alone. There's other people out there in the world for you that can help you. There's sources, there's counseling, there's help. And just know it is a process, but you're worth it. You're worth to get healed. Like for me, in those moments, I thought I was so broken, I wasn't able to get fixed. But it's worth, like, I'm a successful female now with kids and a family. I did not believe that in myself at 18. But anybody that's listening, you're worth it, you're valued. It doesn't matter what age you are. Some people don't become actresses till they're like 50. Okay? All right? I feel like I'm in my prime and I'm older. Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, you're not alone. I think for me is you're not alone and there's other people on that race with you and there's so many ways to get help.
Yeah.
So many and so many options more now.
You're worth it. That's the other thing. You are worth not waking up feeling like you don't have a place
or value.
Or
you
value.
do.
You do. And if you don't have that circle around you, get rid of that circle, go find yourself a new circle, tell your story and watch the look on someone's face and go, okay, that person, that's not going to, they're not going to sweep this under the rug. They're going to go, oh my gosh, tell me more.
And join a support group or, there's have blogs online.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah.
Something to get healing.
Yeah.
And you're not alone. You're not alone and you're worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap it up and I'm going to mention some things here. I wanted to speak to the audience. We heard terms today like PTSD, CPTSD. PTSD is often something that's followed by a singular traumatic event. And complex PTSD is something that develops after repeated long-term abuse. For many people, the trauma was not just one moment. And it's a pattern. And you learn to adapt to your environment instead of learning to feel safe in your environment. And so it's really not about erasing the past. We're not trying to erase our past. We're trying to make sense of our past and really understand why it shaped us.
Right.
And just really get to know ourselves better so that we can be optimal functioning humans. That's really what it is, just about making the best out of every day, every opportunity. And I just really want to say thank you so much from like the deepest pits of my soul for coming on and sharing with my audience, because I know that it's going to reach further than just the audience that I have right now. And you are going to connect. You can find Teslee. I know you don't share your story.
You can do it
publicly.
But you can. My Instagram's great.
So where can they find you? On Instagram, on
Facebook, at hair_wars with a Z. And then Facebook, Teslee, TESSLI. That's all you have to look up. There's not very many of those.
Yeah, we'll have this in the show notes.
But and I think too, again, you reach out to me or you, and I can also provide the links for counseling.
Resources. We will
all
put
the
those
resources.
We will put those in the show notes too. Links for the resources of those places. But
hey, there's help. There's a happier, healthier chapter next.
There is. You don't have to white knuckle it. That's the thing. I think a lot of years I spent white knuckling it and just like figuring it out. And then there'll come a point where life will literally say, no more. We're going to collapse your nervous system and we're going to give you autoimmune diseases and things, which
Yeah.
is kind of where I ended up. I didn't get a choice. My body said, hey, guess what? You don't get to ignore this anymore. We're pushing it to the forefront.
Yeah, and your body keeps score and your body has memory and it comes out whatever way it looks like.
Yeah. Thank you so much
Yes.
for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to me. High five. We do hard things.
We did it. We do
Thank
hard
you.
things.
Thank you so much. And that's it. That's it.